Hey traders, it's John Howell here. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the way that you should be, the way that's important to think about these markets when you're trading. Let's get straight into it. Guys, do not place trade based on what you see in this video. Trading is risky and it can cause substantial financial loss. There is no guarantees of making money in the markets. And it does take a long time to become a good trader. So let's get straight into it. Guys, first thing in the description, make sure you've got your free trading course. Let's get straight into this right now. Now, I want you guys to realize this, okay? And this is something that I used to think all the time as well too. So we look at the Dow Jones, okay? We've got the Dow Jones here, the chart to the left, and the chart to the right is the weekly chart. Daily to the left, weekly to the right. We've got that there. We've got the S&P 500 here as well too, right? We're analyzing this and we're analyzing that and so on and so forth. And now we're looking at the Nasdaq as well. You know, it's like, oh, well, the Nasdaq's doing this and so on and so forth. So, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One thing that a lot of people get stuck on is that just because the indices are doing something does not mean the stocks are doing the same thing as well too. Makes sense? So for example, as an example, look at this last few months of the Nasdaq. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Okay? Now, this is the Nasdaq right now, and it looks like it's going to keep cracking down. We have this low point through here, as you can see, rejected off that today. But a lot of people say, oh, well, the market's bearish right now, and the stock market's not going to fall over because the indices are doing that. But hang on, if you started to look underneath the surface, if I go show you Apple, which was the king, that's actually been in the downtrend a lot longer than a lot of the other markets. Makes sense? So I am expecting some sort of a pullback here soon out of these markets that have been coming down for quite some time. But look at Facebook as well too. Look at Facebook's been so much. Look at this here: lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. This could be some sort of lower high as well too. So the purpose of me doing this video here for you guys is that if you are trading any stock out there, if you're trading, any stock out there, please don't make a decision based on that stock, based on what you think the indices are going to do. Because you never know what the indices are going to do tomorrow and so on and so forth. No one does. So you only want to trade what the market is telling you, because just because the Nasdaq is doing something doesn't mean that the top stocks in that are going to do the same thing. Like this is Facebook here, looks completely different to what? Nasdaq. Same with Apple as well too. You might look at something like Microsoft. And what's Microsoft been doing? Just sideways, right? Very volatile, but just sideways. It hasn't been pulling back at all. Again, we're just going overall sideways. And if you look at something like even Tesla, as an example, Tesla has actually been gaining strength as the Nasdaq's been pulling back. Makes sense? So just because the indice that you're looking at, call it the Dow Jones, call it the S&P, call it the Nasdaq, whatever indice you're looking at, that is just it's really just an indice. It doesn't really mean anything, really, at the end of the day. Because if the Nasdaq might be holding strong right now, might be still forming a big topping pattern as we speak. So it might be forming that right now. But then we look at underneath the surface, and a lot of the top tech stocks, they look nothing like the Nasdaq, right? They're all making their own formations, their own everything through there. Makes sense? So whenever you're viewing the markets and whenever you're trading the markets, trade that individual stock based on that individual stock, because it doesn't, very rarely will the individual stock follow what the indices are doing. You know what I mean? So it's so important to understand that, and therefore, you might get a nice bullish signal on a stock, but then suddenly the Nasdaq or the Dow Jones, looks weak. You're like, oh, I don't want to take that because the Dow Jones looks weak. You can't do that. There's so many times where, again, firstly, we have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow, so you can't trade based on what you think is going to happen. You only can trade based on a plan that that works more times than not. Oh, my nose is so itchy right now. Oh. So, and there's been so many times where I've had like the market's looking weak and I'm like, and I took a bullish trade and made money out of that one. Makes sense? So this thing here is for people that are trading the markets and you're trying to get ahead in the markets, but it's like, how do I, a lot of people think that, oh, well, the Dow Jones is weak, so therefore every stock is weak in the market and so on and so forth, which is simply not true. I've just shown you two top tech stocks, Apple and Facebook. They've been getting hammered in the market, but the Nasdaq doesn't actually look as weak as those. I look at something like Tesla, and Tesla's actually been going up. I look at something like, once again, Microsoft, and Microsoft hasn't been going down. It's just been going overall sideways. And these are all some of the top tech stocks in the Nasdaq. Makes sense? So I hope you can see here, guys, that when you're trading a stock, trade the stock based on its own merits and based on that own stock. Don't be starting to short things because you think the Nasdaq's going to go down, because that has nothing to do with what an individual stock does. Before you go, make sure you grab the free Grab the Markets by the Balls training course. In this training course, you're going to learn the top 13 deadly mistakes, the success formula, charting boundaries, the PT method, the ultimate trading system, the blast off trading system, #1 in trading indicator, the $1 million trade and money management, how successful traders approach the market, and so much more. Get this training course for free right now. Click on the very first link in the description to get this whole complete trading course to give you the edge on your side of trading this market. Do that right now, and I'll see you on the other side.